1. So we recently went to auction and sold our house. The couple who purchased it turned out to be rude, entitled twerps. We were very thorough in preparing our sale documents, going above and beyond to detail all the renovation works we'd completed. Due to public holidays in our open house period, we also had more than usual inspection times, and even opened the house privately for some interested parties. There was ample opportunity for checking everything out. Auction went fine, but the first sign of trouble came after. The couple take nearly 2 hours to sign the contract. It is explained to them that this is an unconditional sale, as in they can't pull out of the sale for any reason without losing their deposit. They also can't request a building or pest inspection now, and use the findings as a reason to back out of the sale and receive their deposit back. Those things are meant to be organized before purchase, or you just take your chances. That's how it works here when there's an auction. A private sale has different rules. They then asked to purchase some furniture, which we said we'd think about. In the next days, the real estate agent starts plaguing us with a number of texts and calls, asking various questions about the property on behalf of the couple. What are the roof tiles made of? When did we last clean the roof? What is the deck made of? What is the material under the deck? Where is the storage battery for the solar panels? Have we had the aircon serviced, etc., etc., etc.? We answered all, but it starts to become annoying, and we advise the agents all of this info is either in the ad or the building report, or it should have been discussed before the purchase. It starts to become clear that the couple are wealthy investors who have moved from another country and just bought the house off the photos. They then demand a building inspection. Our conveyancer urgently advises against this. If they were to find pretense to pull out of the deal, they would lose their deposit, yes, but then we would have no funds coming through for the settlement of our new house. We do not have any legal obligations to say yes, so I advise no. The agents harass us for a week begging, but I tell them to drop the topic and it's a definite no. The couple then asks to bring forward the settlement date. We are actually okay with this, but the lady we purchased our new house from is not. To make the money work, we need to settle the old and new houses on the same day, so we have to say no, or else spend a lot of money putting ourselves up in a hotel for a few weeks. We can't afford that, and so say no. This angers the couple because they then have to pay extra rent where they are currently living. We apologize, but it's out of our hands. The agents harass us again on the couple's behalf, but we stay firm. Another barrage of questions about the house follow, which we answer. They then ask us which furniture we're selling them. We decline to sell anything as these people are just too much trouble. Then the couple ask for the pre-settlement inspection. This is normal to check that nothing included in the sale contract has been removed from the home, like fixtures and fittings such as curtains, etc. It's legally not meant to be done until 7 days before the settling. They requested 15 days out. We try to tell them to come on Monday or Tuesday before settlement so that the house is empty. They refused. We end up saying yes as we don't want them there while we have our storage containers on site and have scheduled time to be packing. We make clear the house is not in final sale condition and they are agreeing to settle it as is with our goods taken out. They agree in writing. On the inspection day, we happen to have an old couch on the nature strip awaiting hard rubbish collection. It's been completely torn up by our cats and not even any of the neighborhood scavengers have collected it. They are clearly upset we didn't sell the furniture to them and accuse us of dumping rubbish on their property. We remind them it's not theirs yet and show them the council booking slip for collection. We drove around the block at inspection time and settled in the court opposite and watched them bring someone who we highly suspect was a builder on site without our permission. Couldn't prove it though. Finally, we are packing our storage containers the weekend before settlement. We take a 5-minute break and sit inside the front door and container door open, keeping an ear out if anyone starts sniffing around our goods. Lo and behold, we hear people walking around in the driveway next to our containers. I am out of my seat like a shot and instantly saw these guys are builders measuring our fence. I demand to know what they think they're doing. They say they were told no one would be here and they were allowed in. I snapped and screamed at them that this was still my property. They didn't have permission to be there and to leave. They refused and said, "Oh, well, we'll just be a minute doing this." I said no, they were trespassing and to get out. They started walking over to me, being threatening and intimidating, getting in my personal space. I'm a woman under 5 feet and an easy target in their eyes, I guess. At this point, they look up and see my very tall and large husband coming towards them and hot-footed to their car. I call the agents and my conveyancer in a rage and let them know this is completely unacceptable and I will call the police if they are seen again. The couple deny they sent them. The day of settlement comes. All is good for their money. We hand our keys over and breathe a sigh of relief that it is all over, but it isn't. We get an angry email from the couple's conveyancer claiming we left goods on the property and didn't leave it in fit condition for settlement, and that as his client wasn't allowed on the property, he couldn't check for this properly. We reminded the conveyancer that his client already put in writing that they came to inspect too early, and accepted the condition of the house. He attaches pictures of the goods they want picked up. It's a bag of rubbish we forgot in the shed, probably from the day their builders came and we were distracted. In the photo are also things like spare fence pickets and roof tiles, which we left as a courtesy. Fine, we say. This is all too hard, we'll come and get it. So we have to get permission to go on the property, as it's not ours anymore. My husband gets there and starts packing up everything in the photo. The owners freak out and demand that we leave everything there. My husband refuses until they put in writing what they want left. Begrudgingly, they write that they want the fence pickets and all the spare bathroom and roof tiles left. Then my husband takes the paint tins we left. Remember, we just renovated before we sold, so we left some paint for touch-ups. They want him to leave it all there, but refuse to put it in writing, so he takes it all and the snail pellets too. Oh well, the garden has a massive snail problem, but they can pay out of their own pocket to deal with that now. In the end, all they really wanted gone was a bag of rubbish and the decorative steel panels at the back of the house, which we left as a fixture and fitting as per contract, but anyway, they just made a fuss as retaliation about the builder to inconvenience us. The icing on the cake? They demanded my husband change the alarm code for them on his way out. He told them no, it was not his responsibility to do so, and also, he had left them detailed written instructions on how to do it themselves. They said they couldn't figure it out. He shrugged and told them to get a technician then and walked out. By contrast, at our new home, the previous owner left us a long handwritten letter explaining how the house works, some menus of her favorite takeout, and her number if there were any questions. She left us spare light globes, electrical parts, fittings, and spare floorboards. We were happy about that as we intended to change out the old carpet and now can match the rest of the flooring. We found that she left some handwritten recipes and cookbooks. We texted her thanks for the note, and would she like her books? She was so grateful. That's how it should have gone. The people we sold to were so awful to deal with. If they had been nicer, we would have left the couple a handwritten note of our own, explaining to avoid the neighbor on the right, as he has no sense of social norms, and the only way to get him to leave is to slam the door in his face. Oh, and also, he has severe pest problems on his property. It's a giant forest in suburbia, and he doesn't maintain it. Oh well, hope they don't mind rodents, ticks, all manner of spiders, including nests and ratbacks, jumping jackants, eastern brown snakes, and foxes. Or grass that is as tall as your shoulders. We also would have explained to avoid the neighbor on the left, who we were sure was a drug dealer. Ike's at his house at all hours, constantly having roof plumbing done, pressure washes his truck most days to clean the residue, and in his time off plays with power tools in a manner that can only be described as grinding a block of steel. Looking back, actually, it wasn't a great place to live. Hope they enjoy. 2. I worked in customer support for a tech firm, and if I may say so, the company is good at it, and I am good at it. We have customer satisfaction stories and data to prove it. Our customer support is what gives us a competitive advantage in our marketplace and makes us very profitable. One day I get a phone call from a customer. I say, "Hello, and his response is, "I want to talk to third-tier support." Okay, We have a process for that. What seems to be the problem? No, you don't understand. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to third-tier support. Actually, I do understand you want to talk to third-tier support. I'm setting that up, but there are a few questions I have to ask you, and if I don't know the answers to those questions, then they aren't going to call you. They are going to ask me to call you back and get those answers. So what seems to be the problem? He explains to me the problem. Have you tried this? No, you don't understand. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to third-tier support. You know, the guys who aren't working from a script. I assure you, sir, I am not working from a script. Have you tried this? Yeah, I did. Now may I talk to third-tier support? Have you tried that? Yes, I did. Now, may I talk to third-tier support? My problem isn't in your script. There is no script for this problem. I am asking you this question because I thoroughly understand our device, and I know, from previous experience, that might solve your problem. Have you tried this other thing? What makes you think that this other thing is going to solve the problem? Well, I've been doing this work for a couple of years now, and I have a pretty good idea of how these things work. So I thought this other thing might solve the problem. Look, I have a master's degree in computer science. I want to talk to somebody in third-tier support. Now, I do not want to disrespect computer scientists, because computer science is a hard field to get into. But everybody should understand that there is a big difference between computer scientists, computer programmers, system administrators, database administrators, network administrators, cybersecurity analysts, program managers, and customer support people. Computer scientists do research on artificial intelligence, algorithms, compiler design, large databases, and other theoretical topics. Those are important topics. Computer programmers, by way of contrast, write computer programs. They need to know about computer science topics, but computer science is a means, not an end. The same is true for all of the other specialities that I mentioned. He may be a really good computer scientist, but that doesn't mean that he's a network administrator or a system administrator. Those are different specialities. Somebody who says, I have a master's degree in computer science, I don't need to talk to you, knows a great deal about what he knows, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know. I've been around long enough to know that there is a great deal I don't know. Just try this other thing, and if that doesn't work, then I will give you third-tier support. Promise? Promise. I can hear him typing away in the background, swearing and cursing. I can hear when he hits the return key, he hits it hard. Then he picks up the phone and says, It's working now. Great. You still want me to escalate to third-tier support? Then I get a torrential outpouring of expletives. Since this is a nice, wholesome channel, I won't give you the details, but rather leave it to your imagination, gentle listener. Then he hung up on me. Wouldn't you know it, he got a customer satisfaction survey and I got straight zeros. I got called into my boss's office and we had a conversation about the call. He was upset and I can't say I blame him because he also gets graded on our survey scores. He called in some third-tier support people to listen to the recording, for training and quality assurance purposes, and they said I did everything right. Me, did not deserve that rating. They also said there was no way I deserved that abuse and that the survey should be tossed out. Unfortunately, the rules are the rules and that score counted. So I lost my quarterly bonus, a couple of $1,000s. However, the big boss felt awful about the whole affair, so he and his wife took my wife and me out to dinner at the most expensive restaurant in town. We had a lovely time. At the end of the evening, I noticed that he'd paid for the meal with his personal, not his corporate credit card. I asked him about that. His response was golden. I'm in a position where I could probably get away with it, but that wouldn't be right. What happened to you wasn't right either. This dinner is my way of making it up to you as best I can, and I figured if I'm going to do that, I might as well take my wife and your wife along. Why not? He knew I was married because I have the ring. I love that guy. Worked for him for years. I would have liked a couple of $1,000, but the acknowledgement that I had been screwed was a good second place. 3. I was invited to my college roommate's significant other's, Sarah's, grad party. She was a theater and dance major. This was in her predominantly white neighborhood and hometown, and I am part Mexican and look Mexican. It was a bit of a drive for me, 1.5 hours, and on my way in, I gave my friend a call. "Hey Ken, I'm pretty close. Do you guys need anything from the store? Food, drinks, or anything?" Ken replied, "No, we're all good. Just get over here so we can start drinking." I grab a bottle of wine and head over about 10 minutes after the start time. As I arrive, I see my friend is bringing in a sound system from his truck, so naturally I grab a big speaker and walk into the backyard to help set up. As I walk in, it is only white people. Totally fine, just something I notice as I'm trying to find any familiar faces. I set down the speaker on the deck in the backyard. I am handed a beer and I'm going back out to help with any more equipment. This is when Sarah's mom approaches me. Looks just like her. And here we go. "Oh my God, where have you been? You're late. We've been waiting for you." My impression of this lady is hilarious. I'm nobody in regards to this party. Maybe this is her eccentric way of welcoming her guests? Note, my friend is setting up his sound system out of earshot. I'm standing there with beer in hand. Yeah, I hit a little bit of traffic on the way, but it wasn't too bad. I'm glad I made it. Your backyard is beautiful, and the setup looks really nice. Sarah's mom looks concerned and a little upset. "Well, did you bring the food?" I called Ken. He said you didn't need anything. I'd be happy to go back. What can I get? "Did you bring your taco cart? Are you going to make the food in the kitchen?" This somewhat strikes a nerve. I'm just trying to help. I'm also thinking, wow, this lady is unabashedly laying into me upon introduction. I respect that. A light racist joke before introduction, that's a bold move. She's hilarious, I'll play along. Let's throw some punches. "Geez, my cart is in the shop." "Well, what are you going to do?" "I'm sure I have some cousins close by that can bring theirs and get some tacos going. Maybe some churros y horchata? Shoot, maybe we can even bring in some of those big hats. What do you think?" I sip my drink and laugh. Sarah's mom is visibly upset and still sticking to this entertaining scenario we've created. This is so unprofessional. How do you show up empty-handed to this party and just stand there with a beer? Yeah, how dare I say, taking a sip of the beer. Really should have brought my backup taco cart. Sarah's mom, still not ready to break character, looks a little more upset. I think to myself, this must be where Sarah gets her theater from. Sarah walks over, finally someone I know. She gives me a big hug, sees her mom's frustration and says, "Oh, was my mom telling you that the taco cart hasn't come yet?" Sarah's mom's jaw just about hits the floor. "Oh my God, you're YYF8. Ken's roommate. I am so sorry. I assumed because you were carrying things in, and I'm so embarrassed." I'm cracking up at this point. Sarah is cracking up. Whew, I'm really a terrible cook, so it's a good thing Sarah came along. I was ready to get the food for this party. In fact, hold on, I'll be right back. I return presenting a bottle of wine just to add a little salt. Sorry I was so late and forgot the food. I hope I'm still welcome, or I can just cut grass and head out. She apologized again, and I assured her that I was not offended in the slightest, and helped to decide what to do about the food, and helped call a few places. They ordered pizza at this point. Turns out the vendor's truck, Pedro's, broke down on the side of the freeway, and they were not going to make it. I can't just let a joke go, so I threw in, "Oh, you guys went with Pedro's? Tia really needs to straighten that boy out. He's always late to family fiestas." I got a few more jabs in throughout the night. Ken got a few good ones in, and Sarah's mom played along. She was actually really nice, and there were no hard feelings. Just under stress because the vendor didn't show up. 4. I'm a 27-year-old male, and I just got back from a week-long vacation with my family. 5 younger sisters, 1 brother-in-law, myself, and my dad. We had a great time, and everyone got along. For the most part. As far back as I can remember, my dad would take our family on vacation every summer. Although many of us are adults now and have moved out, he still plans and very generously pays for us to enjoy a vacation as a family. For this vacation, we all met up at my parents' place in Arizona, where we grew up. and drove together to a cabin we rented out in Northern California. Unfortunately, my sister, that was born right after me, Kristen, 25, had a pretty bad attitude the entire week. Background and family dynamics. During this vacation, we went out to eat 3 or 4 times. Each time we made sure that everyone, especially Kristen, was asked what kind of food they wanted to eat. We've had issues in the past where Kristen didn't like the food we had ordered and was upset that no one listened to her when she wasn't a huge fan of what we were ordering. We frequently changed our dining plans to accommodate her, even though everyone else was on board with a certain restaurant. The last night we were there, everyone really wanted to do a specific restaurant except her. Given that we had compromised a few times before, we decided that this time we would stick with our original decision, as the rest of us were really excited about going there. Kristen was visibly upset. When we were walking into town, my dad talked to her and tried to tell her that there would likely be something we could find that she'd like. It was a large menu. The rest of the night, she was cold and negative toward everyone. As mentioned before, for the majority of our vacation, she had a negative attitude and was very pessimistic. My sisters and dad felt the same way. Yesterday, we all drove from the cabin back to my parents' place in Arizona. After about an hour of driving home, everyone went their separate ways, back to their respective homes in other states except for me, Kristen, and my dad. My plan was to stay at my parents' place in Arizona for 2 days before driving back to my home in a different state. I will be starting an extremely demanding job in a big city away from all my friends, so I wanted to take the opportunity to see them one last time before life gets hectic. Build up. During lunch, I asked my dad about Kristen's travel plans. He tells me that she is leaving the following morning for a 5 a.m. flight. He mentioned trying to coordinate how she'd get to the airport as he wouldn't be able to take her. He had a flight to catch for business in another state after we finished lunch. I suggested that she take an Uber, and my dad said that when he mentioned that to her, she said she doesn't take Ubers. I could see why my dad was a bit concerned about figuring it out, so I told him that I would rather not wake up at 3 a.m. the following day to take her, given that I had plans with my friend that evening, but that if it absolutely came down to it, I would. He understood and was supportive of my plans and said that he would talk to her. He mentioned that he thought her apprehension with Uber might be the financial aspect, and said he would be more than willing to cover the cost of it for her. I go to hang out with my friend. My dad, I assume, talks to her, and then catches his flight out of town. Explosion. Later that evening, I'm about to go to bed, and I knock on Kristen's door to make sure she's good to go. Ask her if she's checked in for her flight, etc. Yes, are you still good to take me to the airport? Her and I never talked about this, so I'm assuming she spoke with my dad, but I'm not entirely sure. I would rather not take you at 3 a.m. Have you talked to Dad? Dad said you told him you'd take me. I didn't say that. I said it would be an option if it came down to it. Are you able to take an Uber? It's really early. An Uber is $120. Why don't you talk to Dad? He told me earlier that he was happy to cover it for you. It's not just the money. I'm not comfortable taking an Uber. Okay, well, sometimes we have to do things in life we aren't comfortable with. Even if it risks my life? If you're so uncomfortable with it, why don't you change your flight to a more reasonable time? She didn't have any reason to be back to her home state that early. I've picked you up from the airport many times before. In Arizona, when we come into town to spend holidays with my parents, and it was twice. At 3 a.m., no, but I would. When you had plans to go out late with your friend for a month, I don't think you would. Whatever, dude. At this point, I walk away. The conversation happened through a closed door. She was in her room, and I was in the hallway. Aftermath, resolution. I called my dad to see what they had talked about earlier in the day before he left. Apparently, he asked her about an Uber and told her that he'd be willing to pay for it. And she said that she didn't feel safe taking an Uber. I told him what happened and expressed my frustration. I explained to him that I really didn't feel so inclined to make sacrifices and go out of my way for her, when I had just spent the last week being disrespected and watching it happen to everyone else in the family as well. Furthermore, I explained that it goes beyond this vacation. That 2 months prior, when we were on vacation with my mom, I was snapped at numerous times by her for minor things. This has gone on for years at this point. At first it was just towards me, and Now she's starting to affect others as well. I chatted with my mom about the situation, and apparently my other sisters had complained about Kristen's negativity on the trip. My dad said that he understood my frustration and would talk to her again to try and figure something out. My dad calls me back 30 minutes later. At this point, I've cooled off a bit. Look, Dad, it's fine, I'll just take her. I don't want to be a hassle for you. I was being a bit stubborn and I'm frustrated, but I'll do it. No worries, she had flexibility and no need to be back so early, so we changed her flight for 8 a.m. It was easy. Okay, great. That makes things a lot more manageable. I'll make sure we leave here around 6 a.m. Well, she doesn't want you to take her. She's getting a friend to do it. My take. Looking back, I probably should have just taken her from the get-go. My main frustration in all of this is her sense of entitlement. I felt she had acted very entitled the entire previous week, with the eating out. She didn't help with cleaning, preparing food, packing up, etc. I felt like she was just expecting me to take her regardless of the time, my plans, etc. It's extremely frustrating because we have all been so accommodating and considerate of her, yet we get thanked with negativity. Despite our consideration of her, we get no consideration back. Beyond that, and I'm in the wrong for holding on to this, as I should have just let it go, she had been snappy with me all week, so the last thing I wanted to do was go out of my way to do this. Would love to hear your thoughts. Does she seem entitled, or am I in the wrong here? Fraser's note, that woman, yes, woman, not girl, she's 25, could do with hearing the word no a lot more often. 5. This happened last night where I was working. I work at a mall as a housekeeper. It's nice and easy work other than dealing with bodily fluids, but it'll be good work for any fixing to make some easy money. But one thing you must keep calm on and not say anything about are rude, entitled people. But a basketball team? It wasn't like a professional basketball team, it was a little kids' basketball team. They all had medals around their necks, meaning they probably won their game against their opponents, and I guess they wanted to come to the mall as a celebration. Now, I thought they would at least be kind and respectful since there's about 4 adults with them for supervision, but oh my god, I was wrong. Even with the adults there, they were loud and impatient little fuckers. They actually cut in line because they think they deserve to be in the front. Some showed their medals as a "I won the game, I can do whatever I want" kind of way. My boss told me to keep a sharp eye on all of them, while she grabbed her radio to call for security in case something happens. But as soon as they got their food, they finally calmed down and sat at a table to eat. But after like 5 minutes of calm, they were back. They were loud again, and they even left the food court to go scurry around the mall without any adults. And according to the security guards that told me and my boss, they ran in stores yelling and shoving things and almost trashed Kids Foot Locker and Jimmy Jazz. Although they changed their names to Snipes, I thought Jimmy Jazz was better. And you know the best part? They left their food on the tables while they run around the mall for 10 minutes. Our rule, technically my boss's rule, is if there is food on the table that people leave for 10 minutes or more, we are allowed to throw it out. But we tend to leave it on the trash cans if they do come back, and we tell them we left it on the trash cans, and can enjoy the rest. Like if they were in the bathroom for that long and they ask for the food, I tell them where I put it. The parents told me, whenever I ask where they were, that they'll be back for their food. They told me about 4 times, so I left it be and continued to work. And then about 30 minutes later, they all come back with 2 security guards right behind them. And what happens again? If you say run around and possibly mess up the bathrooms, you earn a cookie. My brother, who works with me as well, worked so hard to clean the bathroom, only for them to mess it up in 20 seconds. And I mean it, they clogged the toilets, the sink is full of soap, and my brother told me the bathroom floor reeks of urine. I'm glad they were told not to enter the ladies' room to do the same, because there are girls in there using them as a dressing room. Note, please, don't just use the bathroom as a dressing room. I'm sure the store's dressing rooms are open now. But guess what they ignored? The tables they used to eat, all their food and drinks were still there, and so I and another co-worker had to clean them all up while my brother cleaned the bathroom. The looks on the adults' faces when they found out the kids didn't even clean up after themselves. Rather, destroy more of the mall and apparently disrespect the security guards. And us. But the adults are kind to help me clean. Since the tables were so messy, because they used up 4 tables, it took a while for us to clean them, especially leaving a big spill. The adults noticed some were ready to run off again, and walked up to them and gave them a good talk. My boss was there to witness everything and had a nice big smile during all of it, knowing that if those were her team, she would give them a good talk and a possible beating. Not a bad one. They left not that long after, and I finished up the last table and stopped a bit to breathe, because they really made a big mess. And thankfully on time, because we left them all around 5:50, so we can clock out and go home. Moral of this story, please be respectful to everyone around you. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild. Episode 69, oh yes. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please boop the like button if you'd be so kind. Right, let's see, this goes up originally on Monday the 11th of, whatchamacallit, July. I know what I'm doing. And let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. Video game fans, what is a video game that you have played many, many times, probably come out years ago, and you always go back to it eventually? Doesn't matter how long it's been, eventually your appreciation never wavers. For me, it's actually a whole series of games. It's the Batman Arkham games. Even Arkham Knight, which was a bit of a mess when it first came out, i.e. it was quite literally unplayable. I still love those games with my very soul. And I'm disappointed we'll never get another one. So what are some of your favorites? Your go-tos, the ones that comfort you, the ones you'll always and forever go back to, no matter what? Let me know your answer in a comment below. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.